Welcome to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Para Cave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. And this is part number 2 of the interview with Mr. Alan Wilson. I hope you enjoyed part number 1. There were certainly some great stories there, especially that origin story about how he found out from his mum. It was a very emotional story when I was interviewing him, and look, that was one of the best sort of, I guess you could say, debut stories that I've heard in terms of how finding out how you have made a state of origin side, or even like a first grade side. But that story was amazing, along with the Jack Gibson stories. They were fantastic. But in this one, you'll find some more Parramatta Eels stories from his time there as an assistant coach to Brian Smith, and also a great cracker of a story about the That's My Team NRL campaign that ran with the Hoodoo Gurus. So cracking story there as well. So stay tuned for that one. And anyway, let's just get straight into it. Part number 2 with Mr. Alan Wilson.
Weekend, I was driving home and my phone rang. My mobile phone, but we got mobile phone now. And the guy says, Al. I said, yeah. He said, this is Brian Smith. Hey, Brian, how are you, mate? And he said, yeah. He said, mate. He said, what are you doing next year? And I said, mate, you wouldn't believe it. I've just been offered another year at North. And he said, would you be interested in coming out here? And I said, well, yeah, absolutely. And this is the difference. Which again was a learning curve, and for anyone in business, it's a good thing. Norths said to me, here's the offer. Take it or leave it.
Okay.
Brian said to me, would you be interested in coming here, and what'll it take to get you here? So 2 different styles of negotiation, and Brian's way just resonated with me.
Yeah,
and I just
the ball was in your court then, wasn't it? Sort of thing.
And I'm not a greedy man, but I said, Brian, this is what it would take, you know. And he said, can you leave it with me for 48 hours? He said, because I'm going to have to sack someone to make it happen, right? So I said, yeah, no worries. And I don't know if he did or he just said it, but rang him Monday. He rang Monday and said, we're on. I said, beautiful. Went into North and said, listen, take it or leave it. I'll leave it. Thank you very much. Oh, you're making a big mistake? Well, I don't think I am. I went out to Parramatta, and what Brian had done, he had put together, you know, the footy office, the best people like Kay Fitzhenry would be on the panel, on the reception. Yeah. She put a smile on your face the moment you walked in. And when I went there initially, there was like Peter Sharp and then Tony Smith and Daniel Anderson and Tony Hill and Gareth Holmes, like all these great people. Rocket Reddy and there was Trish Cruz and Monty in marketing, and Erin, who's now married to Nathan Kalis, and Bonnie, who's now married to Nathan Highmarsh. Great people. So they are people that you would sit down on the weekend with and have a barbecue. It's great going to work with them Monday to Friday, but these are people that you
want to spend more time with.
You have respect for them on weekends as well. And sometimes you want to leave work and thank God I'm 48 hours off these people. No, it was a complete. And he'd put that staff together, and I think that's why. And the players bought into that. And there's another guy named Les Booker. Les Booker worked there for nothing and did like 80 hours a week. Yeah. It was insane. Like, it's just these good people. So I loved every minute of it. I spent 7 years there. It was 7 best years of my life, I reckon. And they mean as much to me outside of playing as anything else.
Okay.
Again, I get back to success. I'm raved on a bit.
No.
We were close a few times. If you look back, you know, there's probably a real star halfback probably eluded us. everything else was, we just, Noel Cleal, here's another special guy.
Crusher.
Noel brought Jamie Lyon, Luke Burt, Nathan Hindmarsh, Andrew Ryan, everyone forgets. Like, these kids all came through the junior system and they went on. Like, they played so many games and so many important games. I'm not disappointed for me that we didn't win a comp. I'm disappointed for Brian for one, but I'm also disappointed for the Nathan Hindmarshes and Kalises and that, right? Because they deserved it. Andrew Ryan was fortunate enough to go and get one with Canterbury.
Yeah.
And the Mick Vellas and, all those guys, they deserved a comp. They got some rep rewards. But that footy system they had set up out there, if you remember, Dennis Fitzgerald was, they called the Emperor. Dennis understood. He empowered the footy department. Brian was in charge of that with Greg Mitchell, and he empowered them. You do footy and I'll run this league club and I'll make money and pay for it. But so we got to, and mate, if probably saw him in the footy office twice a year.
Yeah.
But it was just such a great setup. Great people, mate. Great. I interviewed, spoke with Frank Panisi a few weeks ago, and he said, good people make good businesses. Great people make organisations. And that's true. Yeah. You get the great people, you get a great organisation.
Yeah, for sure. Is that the one thing about Brian's coaching that really stood out for yourself? Getting those good people, or was there something else?
He was very, I think he was almost, I could say, ahead of his time in terms of skill development. Like, I played those years at Cronulla and been successful, but I'm going to say no one really ever taught me where to put my fingers and thumb on the ball.
Okay.
Or how to hold it into collision and so it all stemmed from his time at St. George with a guy named Max Ninnis, who was the king of skill, absolute king of skill. So, he brings in Rocket Reddy, who was just, foot position on defense and tackling and grip, and it was insane. Like, it was I was there as a coach and I'm learning every day.
Yeah.
It was unreal. Yeah. So, he put together great, but he was more skill-minded, and I think a lot of clubs are now.
Yeah, no, a lot of former Parramatta players rate him as the best coach that they've ever had in the game. Look, a couple of games I want to talk about, and probably ones that Parramatta fans don't like to talk about. I don't like to talk about them. The 98 prelim final.
Yeah.
One of the most unusual games, obviously, that you've been involved in as a coach or a player. What happened that day? What went wrong that day, do you think?
Oh, mate, momentum is a big thing in the game. Like, when you're riding, when it's with you, it's great. And when it's not, it's a battle and it's grind. And, I can't say that, I think we had it was a bit of experience. There was a bit of experience in our team. I don't know, mate, to be honest. It just, momentum, just things, the luck of the bounce of the ball on a couple of occasions. You just think, mate, it's that far away from being right. But the consequence of it not being right is, it wasn't bad. It was tragic.
Yeah.
I just think, momentum's a big swing and we didn't get it. And probably
the other one is the 2001 grand final, and all year Parramatta have been smashing point scoring records. And is that the momentum thing again with Newcastle leading 24-0 at half time, or was it Andrew Johns on that night?
Well, you could ask this to every guest you've ever had. If Andrew Johns didn't play that night, would they still won? Well, Ben Kennedy was still doing
That's
some
right,
great things.
Yeah.
Joey, he was an exceptional player. What they did, they came out and they hit fourth gear real quick. They just went at it, and they were tactical, whether, how they played. And, again, we're on the back foot, just kept happening. I mean, you look at the second half, we sort of
That's right. Yeah.
got some back and weren't that far off.
I thought if it was 5 minutes longer, Parramatta could have won it.
So, a lot of my junior coaching, I always say that, teams miss the 8. They missed the 8 on for and against by 6 or 8 points. And if only we'd scored that try in the last round, the one that got disallowed, we'd be in the semi-finals. Well, my answer to that was, if you had scored it in the first game of the year, it still counts on for and against.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter when you score them, right?
Yeah.
So you can say it was only 5 minutes. Well, if we had stopped one in the first half, we wouldn't have needed to score in the last 5. We wouldn't have needed another 5 minutes. We probably just needed to hold them to a try less in that first half, and 2 tries probably could have been a great contest in the second half.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was my first ever Parramatta Eels grand final that I went to, and cried my eyes out that night. But
yeah, well, so did I. I didn't cry, to be honest. I ran, so the 7 years I was at Parramatta, I ran the yellow shirt, I think my entire 7 years I did. I ran them at North, I ran them at Para. So I was always out there for all these, whether victories or meltdowns or momentum swings. It was, I loved every minute of it.
Was that with the great man Hayden Knowles?
Hayden Knowles, one of the
What
greatest.
do you got to tell me about Hayden
before? So, and that's the problem with naming names. You always forget someone. Hayden, I'd like to say he's a great mate. We don't catch up, we don't meet up, but I watch his progress and where he's been and what he's done. He's had an outstanding career in the game, coming from and his father's an athletics background. He knows his stuff. He's a great man. He's welcome at my house anytime. Just can't get him out of the Central Coast, that's all. But yeah, he's over at the Roosters now. Yeah. So Hayden was there. Yeah. So Hayden, he had us well prepared. We thought we were calm and ready for it, and just didn't go our way. I mean, it just doesn't some days.
Yeah.
Hey, 2 years ago, the Broncos thought they were driving the trophy down Caxton Street, and in a blink of an eyelid, it didn't go their way.
No,
it just happens.
That's it. Another name that you mentioned before, Nathan Highmarsh. What do you think he has done for the Eels in his career? And when I mention his name,
well, he's always going to be. When you think of the Eels, depending on your age, you always think of probably Ray Price and Cronin and Sterling and Kenny and Ella. And then you move through, and he's going to be up there with them, right? One club, all respect, one club. You really can't say that he never, didn't put in an effort. He was just outstanding. I remember when Jason Taylor retired and was going to join our coaching staff, and I invited Jason in. I said, Jason, you want to come and do video with me tomorrow? So if we played on a Saturday night, finished by 9 o'clock, the boys would go to the pub and I'd go and have a couple of beers, but then I'd have to go back to the office because I needed 3 copies of Eagle Cam, 3 copies of End On Cam, 3 copies of TV Cam for every coach the next day. And I would sit there and review the defence, and it would take 7 hours, 6 or 7 hours, and I only watched when we were tackling. I didn't watch any of the tackling, just defence. I'd watch. And I said, do you want to come and watch, come and do video with me? And I said, you got to watch Hindy. And he more or less goes, well, I've just played with him for a year. I know everything. I know what he does.
Okay.
So, mate, you need to see it. He came in and did the 6 hours of video with me, and left just shaking his head going, wow, because when you get into the coach, you spend a lot of time, and it annoys the hell out of my son when we watch footy together. I watch off the ball a lot.
Okay.
Like, on the ball, everyone's on the ball, and you got to be good. That's, TV. But off the ball is where you just see guys doing extraordinary things. Now, off the ball, defensively, Hindy was insane.
Yeah.
The amount of Ks that he would have carried, done in a game was incredible. But people don't see it.
No.
There's off the ball now. There's some great fullbacks off the ball. Like Ryan Pappenhausen is one of my favourites to watch off the ball.
Yeah.
When he doesn't have the ball in his hands, you just got to watch him. He's insanely good. And some of these great players, that's what they're like. That was Hindy for us. He was great. He'll be an Eels legend, and he deserves to be.
Yeah, no, he's one of my favourite ever Eels players, that is for sure. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, a little bit later on in your rugby league career, you could say, you worked at the NRL, and you were the brains behind the That's My Team competition campaign.
Yes.
Featuring the mighty Hoodoo Gurus. How did that all come about, and what's the story about that one?
Let's go back to the start. So Dave Faulkner, lead singer of the Hoodoo Gurus, moves from Perth to Sydney, and everyone tells him, mate, you got to have a rugby league team. You got to have a rugby league team. And
okay.
He picked the Sharks for some reason, because I think there was a Perth Sharks AFL. I can't remember why, but he picked the Sharks. The drummer was a St. George man. The guitarist was a Western Suburbs man. He picks the Sharks, huh? And he turned up at a Sharks game one day, just on his own, and was walking behind the tunnel. And our winger at the time, Sean Watson, spotted him and said, hey, mate, are you that bloke from the Hoodoo Gurus? And he said, yeah. He said, where are you sitting? And he said, oh, I'm just going to go on the hill. He said, no, you come with me. And he brings him in through the tunnel and puts him in the player's box and sits him down.
Okay.
And he sits him down right next to me. And I'm a music nut.
Yeah.
Like, I've grew up in pubs. I played jukeboxes my whole life. I knew every song that anyone ever. And I'm going, Dave Faulkner. How are you going? Like, it was insane. Like, I'd seen him live. Incredible. And a year before, I'd seen him live at Carringbar Bizzo's Club. And I'm watching reserve grade, trying to, the wind, the sun, where the ball's bouncing, get a feel for the game. But I started talking footy. I'm hammering him with music, and he's hammering me with footy. Like, so we're just this yin and yang, right? Anyway, I've got to go, mate. Let's go forward a few years. I'm driving to work at Parramatta, and I'm on King George's Road near Punchbowl Road there, and somebody was on the radio. I used to leave home at 6 a.m. every morning. Regardless of what time I started, I left home at 6 every morning because I wanted to beat the traffic.
Okay, yep, smart.
And somebody at that intersection, I remember being parked, and someone was having a crack on the radio about footy or something, and I just sitting there listening to it, and the thought in my mind, and I may well have actually said it to myself, I said, well, that doesn't happen at Parramatta. And my next word, because that's my team. And I just said, that's my team. And when I said it, what's my scene just resonated with me.
Okay.
And I went, oh. And I just started putting that's my team into, I think, geez, that works great, right? And so I had it for a couple of days. I go to work, and Trish Cruz, who was at Para, and I just said, hey, Trish, I've got this idea. I used to bounce things off Trish because because one year there I came up with the tag Parramattitude.
Okay,
right?
yes.
We had to have attitude. Like, we have a certain attitude. We got Parramattitude. So I was always coming up with this stuff. And I said, I've got this idea, whatever, that's my team. She said, that's pretty good. She said, I don't know. What do I do with it?
What do I do with it?
Right, whatever. Anyway, she goes to a wedding with, she sits at a table with Malcolm Node, who's the chairman of News Limited, who owns Rugby League.
Yes.
And sits at a table and says to him, oh, Malcolm, do you have an advertising campaign for next year or this year or whatever? He said, no, we don't. No. And she said, well, you should have a chat to Al Wilson. He's got a really good idea. And anyway, left it at that. Within 7 days, I'm driving to work again. And I'm driving home and I get a phone call. Oh, Mr. Wilson, I'm the EA of Mr. Malcolm Note from News Limited. Malcolm would like to have a meeting with you. I said, yeah, okay, no worries. When, what day, whatever. Booked it in. I go into his office. His office was massive and it was palatial. It was great. And I still remember he said, Alan, do you know what our current campaign is? And I said, well, Malcolm, I'll be honest, I didn't 2 days ago, but knowing I was coming here today, I got on the internet and found out.
Which one was it?
And well, I said, Malcolm, can you tell me what it means? And it was, bear with me.
Right.
Whose team are you on? Whose side are you on?
Okay.
Whose side are you on? So can you tell me what that means? Whose side are you on? Like, I said, people like to be tribal. They want to declare, stake and ground. Anyway, turns out he refers me to David Gallup. I go down to see David. He's a lovely guy. And when you're talking to David, he's a barrister by trade, so you just think you're going to be cross-examined at any point. It's like, I got the right answer. But anyway, he loves it too and says, all right, no worries. He said, this is the situation. We're just going to have to sit on this a bit. Oh, no. Anyway, a couple of months later, I'm in an office in Fox Studios, sitting there with Brian Walsh, who runs Fox Television in Australia, runs rugby league, runs everything, and Paul Kine, marketing manager of the NRL. Tell them the idea. They want me to sing it. And I said, there's no way I'm doing that. I'd written my version of the song. I'd just written it to try and do it out. After that, and then I sent that to Dave, and Dave did it his way, which for a singer and a band and playing it wise was smart. And Brian Walsh and Paul Kind, when I got to the meeting, I said, listen, when they rang me, I said, I'm going to turn up in my para gear. I'll have my training shirt, shorts. I'll be decked out like an eel, like whatever. But I've got to come straight from training. I can't. Yeah, that's no worries. I turn up and there's about 8 people sitting in this reception area, all in Hugo Boss suits. And this guy's looks like he's from Byron Bay in white linen and he's trendy as, and I'm sitting there like a Parramatta mufti, right? And they all go in, come out. And I was there for a while and they said, oh, listen, mate, sorry for the delay. So, yeah, that's all right. Nothing on now. And they said, so we went through it again, the pitch, whatever. They said, all right, here's the story. We love it. And we want to use it. But we're going to need someone to produce it. He said, all those people that you've just seen come and go, we've had 8 advertising agents here today and they've all pitched us a campaign. We don't like them, but we need to pick one of them to make yours.
Okay.
I said, that's up to you. So we'll decide that. We'll pick one of them, but we're going with you. All right, no worries. So I went back and had a chat to Brian and Trish, and I don't know how it went from there, but I had to ring Dave and say, Dave, you wouldn't believe it, mate, it's on. And so I left Parramatta in 2004 for no reason. Dumbest decision I ever made. Just halfway through the year, I had a 2-year-old son who'd never slept a night through. I know why they use sleep deprivation as a form of torture, because I was going through it, right?
Yeah.
And I just quit for no reason. I had nowhere to go. It's just so stupid, right? And have paid the price ever since, essentially, like never recovered. But what it did was the NRL took up the campaign and they said, well, you're not working Para anymore? I said, no. I said, oh, well, you might as well come and work with us and,
come up with some more.
Yeah, well, it was about sort of driving it because, for example, I go down to, they're making a TV commercial, and this scene here is all the players running out of the tunnel down at Sydney Football Stadium, and I just sort of be there as a spectator. I just put my hand up. Excuse me, mate. You can't have these jerseys in the ad. Oh, what do you mean? I said, mate, first grade, we're talking about, this is the NRL. They don't wear number 23 and number 31 and number 28. And, oh, no. I said, mate, I'm just telling you, I'm not, you do your thing.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, if you want this to be an ad, a realistic
and
ad,
authentic,
you can't have 21, 30. You got to get the first grade numbers, mate. Anyway.
Maybe if it was the 80s, they were great ties
well,
with the big
so
numbers.
Ironically, you wouldn't. I can show you. The NRL did an ad 2 years ago, and there's a Millie Ball, I think, in the ad, and she's got no number on her back.
Okay.
So some advertising guy, in my opinion, missed the boat there. You can't. They don't play in jerseys, and people want the real thing, mate. They want to see the real thing. So you automatically go, it's fake. You know, you actually want to see the collision. That's just my opinion. That's all I'll say about it. So where that went.
Did they change the numbers?
Yeah, they did. Had to. Anyway, so that's where I ended up with, and mate, to see him play at the grand final, I don't know what year it was. They did it live. It was fantastic. It was great, and I'm still great mates with Dave. He played at my 50th birthday, and he's I've had I've been involved with a few charities now, like fundraising events, and if I need Dave, he's only a phone call away, and he's always willing to help. So he's been a great friendship. But yeah, it was a hell of a story.
Yeah, that's a great story. Look, you hear of the old stories about the Simply the Best campaign, but that one is a cracker of a story, that one.
Well, Simply the Best, like, it was groundbreaking. You know, it was outside the bubble, like outside the think tank. It was just
international.
Yeah, it was groundbreaking, right? So you can't deny it. You can't deny that. But in terms of, you know, going after it, wasn't a better way really to have an Australian band doing an Australian sort of tune. You know, one of my biggest regrets, Troy, is that I never learned to play guitar.
Okay.
Dave gave me one
for
my 30th birthday. It's still sitting in my cupboard.
Yeah.
I'm starting this year. I've just got to get new strings. But
nice.
The thing about music is I'm 57. My best game is 40 years ago. His best game could be next Saturday night at
wherever.
Selena's at Coogee Bay. He's still going, and they're still going very good too.
That's right. Well, it was a great campaign and one that is still used, I guess, today on like Instagram for music stories. And
New South Wales Rugby League used it 2 years ago.
Yeah,
in a different form. It was great.
And I mean, every time I hear the Hoodoo Gurus song, I just change the words to
right.
That's my team. And I've got friends up in Queensland who own a sports shop called What's My Team. And
where's that at?
Redcliffe.
I've been in there.
Okay.
Great store.
Yeah, Lou and Kathy. Yeah, they're great people.
Yeah, say hello to them.
We'll do. But yeah, they're called What's My Team, and so yeah, that's it was a great campaign that has stood the test of time, and one that you came up with. So well done on that one. Skipping a little bit forward to having played over 100 games for Cronulla, what was that feeling like when Cronulla actually did win that premiership in 2016? What did that mean?
Well, it was like relief, to be honest. We got it done. My greatest memory, I took my son, we didn't have tickets, a week before, and I managed to find two from a guy who owed me a favour. So I got my son there. It was great to see it. My greatest memory of it, the day after the grand final, I did go back to the Leeds Club when they showed up about 1 a.m. and did the trophy and that, and I went home after that. But the day after it, I would say at least 150 ex-Cronulla players
Yeah, wow.
all turned up at Caringbah Inn and watched it on the big screen. So to watch it again is one thing, but to be with like guys who had tried for 50 years to achieve what they achieved, and just to be with them was, mate, it was insane. It was so good.
Yeah.
David Riccio was there, the journo, and I still remember, like, it was so unique just to be in the bar. You're looking around and go, mate, this is Cronulla's history right here, and they all got to cheer. And mate, when we sang the song that day, you know, fueled by about 10 schooners,
Taking the
we
roof
sang
off.
the song. Oh, it was fantastic. That was my best experience.
There probably would have been players there that probably thought to themselves, well, this is the best ever win that I've ever, well, not witnessed, but personally their best ever win, having played for the club anyway. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
There was like guys who played in the 78 grand final there. There was Gavin Miller there. There was guys like, you know, that I grew up watching, like the Mick Mullanes and you know, the Dane Sorensens, and they were all there. Well, I played with Dane, but yeah, there was so many great players there that had given everything to the club. And remembering Cronulla had gone broke twice.
Yeah.
So a lot of them had done so for very little, right? Including me and my genre. We'd done so for unders because the club went broke. So they'd genuinely given their blood, you know, they genuinely bled for the jersey, and to see them all so happy on that day was unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah, no, that's it. These days, you mentioned before that you do watch the game. You still watch the game, and what are your thoughts about the game today?
I actually love it. I'm picky and choosy about what games I watch in terms of I respect great coaches. Like, you know, I love what Bellamy can do with, you know, let's say I'm not disrespecting them, but unknowns. Like, he just produces win after win. I love great systems. You know, I'm a bit of a fan of Robbo over at who we coached at Parra, at the Roosters, and Daniel Anderson's over there, which is good. And then, you know, like Knowlesy's around still, and then I see Craig Catterick still around.
I think up at Newcastle.
Yeah. So I'm really pleased that they're still in the game. I do love the game. I think it's great. You know, I heard on the radio here this morning, would you get rid of the 7 tackle? And there's a lot of things, but with the introduction, you know, the concern for head knocks and stuff, we've had to go down a certain path, and I'm sort of, the only bit that really irritates me is when they lie down.
Okay.
Just knowing if I lie down here long enough, he's going to stop the game.
Have a look at
He's
it.
going to have a look at the big screen, and he's going to get a penalty for the softest thing. It's probably, that's not someone, if you played in the 80s, I tell you, they would have kicked you.
Yeah.
Said, get up.
Yes. Pulled you up.
Yeah. So that's probably the only bugbear of it. I don't go to many, to be honest. But most of the games that I watch, I invariably watch on my own because I like to rewind forward.
Well, that's the coach in you.
Yeah, I watch off the ball. So if I could pick up my phone here and show you 24 videos of little clips of certain people doing certain things, that whenever I talk to a young player, can you talk to my son? Can you tell him how to play football? And well, here, watch this. So I've got a lot of that on my phone. So I still do a lot of that. I love a good Saturday night at home watching games back to back and stuff. And it'd be pretty good. I love the whole. I love the Magic round, what it's done. I love the Vegas experiment. It's certainly, you know, it's got the game in a good spot. The international games making a resurgence. It's fantastic. The talk of a kangaroo tour next year is outstanding because I grew up, you know, I grew up watching kangaroo tours at 3 a.m. You know, you would set your alarm or challenge cups. You get up and watch them. Yeah, so, and it's so professional now. The players make a living out of it because you remember I was going to work. We trained Tuesday, Thursday,
That's
Saturday
right.
morning. Well, I was working at the Sydney County Council or wherever. So they're all making really good living out of it now, which is great. So the game's in a really good spot.
Do you support a team at all?
Well, obviously living in the Shire and playing for the Sharks, you always want for the Sharks to go. And I think Craig Fitzgibbon is one of our biggest assets. So, and I was coached by his dad. Craig was ball boy when I was goal kicking, missing goals. But
just blame Craig.
Yeah, so he's great for the club, and I think they're going to be a contender for a couple of years. I sort of just, if, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, if the Cowboys were on Friday night footy, I had to be on my lounge and watching, Thurston and Morgan do their thing, and then I just, and if Munster and Pappenhausen are on, it's just so great to watch, So, I'm absolutely bewildered by Nathan Cleary, I probably wouldn't switch on the Panthers playing the Wooden Spoon team, but if they're playing like the top four, I've just got to sit there and watch it and just the physicality of it. They're just big athletes. Like, people don't understand the size of them now.
No, they're massive.
Nico Hines has got to be 6'2". Like, he's literally a halfback, but they're so big. They're big. I mean, Michael Morgan won that comp with the Cowboys, mate, he weighed 96 kilos. Like, mate, Jason Taylor, he weighed low 80s.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he was tiny.
And he still managed to string together 162, I think, consecutive games. But, they're such big athletes now. They're just impressive.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, for sure. And these days, what's keeping you busy these days? What are you up to?
Well, mate, I still sort of got a finger in the pie with footy coaching. When I finished, I was at the Sharks. I looked after their pathways for 3 years, and then I finished up there, and I went down to watch my son. Because we lived in England for a couple of years, when I went over with Daniel Anderson to help coach at St. Helens, he took up soccer, and we get back to Cronulla, and he's playing soccer, and all his mates are playing footy. He said, "Dad, can I play footy?" I said, "Yeah, you play whatever you want, mate. I don't care."
Yeah.
So I took him down to footy, and about 3 weeks into it, it was halfway through the season. He'd swapped over. 3 weeks into it, the coach said, the coach quit. So they said, can you just coach him for the rest of the year? So that was 2013 probably.
Yeah.
And I was still there in 2023.
Yeah, wow. Awesome.
And then last year I just said, I've had enough. So at 23, I was coaching 2 teams. I was coaching 16s and A grade. And then last year I said, listen, I just need a break. So one of the guys down there managed to coerce me into running the water for his under 16. So I'm still sort of around and where I go, what I do. I do enjoy watching a lot of the kids and spotting a bit of talent and just helping them out a bit, like giving them some advice. And it's some kids because the game's so big and you can make money from it now. Like some kids it's actually a vocation. It's like you pick your school, which school you're going to go to based on their rugby league program. Like, we used to pick it on your maths and English, and like you were going to be a police officer or you're going to be an accountant. Now kids are picking a school based on, I'm going to play this sport. Well, the odds are statistically you're not, right? So that's the reality of it. I get to a junior team and one of the first things I've got to figure out is, okay, so is this the boys' dream or is this mum and dad's dream, right?
Okay. Yeah.
You can spot that, right? Sometimes it's there. And then you have kids who are aspirational, as in want to play Jersey flag, want to play issue ball, they want to go on the ride. But you also have some kids who are participational. They're just playing because they want to play with their mates.
Yeah.
That's my son.
Yeah.
He just wants to play with his mates, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard when you're a coach. So you've got 5 kids that want to play reps, but you got 6 who, that's not on their radar. They're just, mate, I love this. And all they want to do really is want to sing the song in the sheds and Yahoo for a minute, because that might be the best part of their week.
Yeah.
And so, there is a sort of I don't know, like there's an addiction to helping people. Like, I just, I've got my own thoughts on it. I think too many young junior coaches coach to win now.
Okay.
And I think that's wrong. I just think you coach to get better and improve. Like, not everyone's going to make it. No one, let me tell you, no one cares about the fact that I haven't been to a 21st birthday yet where they mentioned how good it was to win the under-12 grand final. Like, seriously, it's forgotten by then. Kids move on. And so you just got to let them enjoy the ride. I just think that those kids going to train, and that might be the most important part of their week. It might be the happiest hour of their day, the happiest hour of their week. Make it fun for them rather than, bash them over the fact that you got to win, you got to win. You don't have to win. You got to give your best. Yeah. Because in life, that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
So I'm still in the camp. I've been asked to coach 5 teams last year. Whether I back up and do another one next year, I don't know, mate. But it's still in my blood.
Yeah.
It's so.
Oh, that's good.
I still love going to and talking to people like the Knowleses and these guys about footy and watching it. Kieran Dempsey's another one that was at North Sydney I work with, who's now a recruitment guy for the Storm. So I'll have a chat with Kieran now and then and just, see what's around and stuff. But that's all I do, mate. It's just a hobby.
Yeah.
I'm actually a golfer.
Okay. How do you
go
at golf?
Well, I think we all go up and down. I love nothing more than grabbing my ping golf clubs and going out on a Saturday afternoon and having a hit. So I don't watch the Saturday early game because I'm usually on the golf course. I love it. I think when you've been a professional sportsman, like you have a competitive instinct.
Okay.
And it's hard to feed this competitiveness for so long and then just stop and just rip the Band-Aid off. Oh, it's hard. And mate, I'm still too competitive at golf. I don't play to beat everyone else. I just play to beat myself. I can't believe, I tell myself I hit a crap shot. I said, mate, you belong in reserve grade.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm just the competitiveness. I think that's where, you can spot some talent. Like kids have got that. Wow. That's a special trait. So unfortunately, I'm a golfer these days.
Ever hit a hole in one?
I have not had a hole in one. No.
Close? No?
Close. No cigar.
Okay.
But so there's always something to look forward to in there.
I had Paul Gow on a long time ago now, and I asked him that question, obviously, and he said he had hit about 20 of them.
I was
going
to say he'd have a dozen.
Yeah.
Well, I did see Paul Gow play in the group behind me at Cronulla one day on the 18th, which is a par 3, and we all stood there, and all was about 20 people watching him. Guys, this is Paul Gow. This is Paul Gow. He's going to stiff this. He's going to put it like that. He shanked it 45 degrees right. Went so far, he was behind the tree, behind the bush, behind a building. We couldn't even see him play his second shot. He put his second shot to 6 foot and dropped the par. Walked off with a par. And I went, that's a professional golfer.
Yeah. Yeah, great story. Shout out to Paul as well. Well, we'll wrap things up with a few common league questions. And the set of 6, the personality questions as well. But we'll start off with the common league questions. Was there a favourite ground other than your home ground? Was there a favourite ground that you used to love playing at?
Wow, great question. If you asked the opposite, I hated Brookvale.
We'll go with that one first. What was your least favourite?
Brookvale. Just couldn't get it. Just nothing. The car parking, everything about it. And it was always wet and soft and whatever. So Brookvale. Favourite ground apart. Well, mate, having spent the 7 years at Parramatta, I know as a player, I played there when it was brand new.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good.
I think the Sharks got a win there too in 80, I think it might have been 87, I think.
I played the day that Jeff Fennick played.
Okay.
He made his debut for Parramatta. I played there that day as well. But yeah, that was a good ground because that was,
Yeah.
you know, we'd been playing at the old Brookvale, the old Redfern, the old Lidcombe Oval, and then go to Parramatta Stadium was like, wow, how cool is this? So that was pretty special.
Who was the hardest?
Sorry, Troy. I got interrupted.
You all right?
Sydney Cricket Ground.
Okay.
I played there twice, and admittedly, the field is a long way in, and the fans not many, and they're a long way back, and the atmosphere's. But it was just overawing to. Yeah, I love.
Is that because it was a cricket ground?
Because
or?
it was Sydney Cricket Ground, and I knew, you know, my dad played for Australia, New South Wales. He played there, and I knew all about the Ron Coots, and I'd been to a test in 1975 and watched Graham Langland's run off the field. We stood on the field, and so Sydney Cricket Ground.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have been to a game there. I think Manly and Parramatta played there. I think Manly won. But yeah, it is a great, authentic, traditional ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to play the grand finals there, and it was a great ground. Did you ever end up on the cricket pitch area, getting tackled on the cricket pitch
absolutely.
area?
Yeah, mate, loved it. It was so good.
Yeah, no, for sure. Who was the hardest player to tackle?
Well, I'm going to say, from my experience, Mal Meninga.
Oh, yes.
Because being, you know, remembering that I built myself up to 85, 86 kilos, got to 87 there at once. I was a traditionally low tackler.
Okay,
I'd always been taught to tackle low by my uncle Kevin Hogan. And Mal's, I'm going to say it, Mal's ass was the size of a wine barrel.
Chucking the thighs as well.
Mate, and he would see you coming and he just drop the hip on you and mate, he knocked me out one day.
Okay.
I was about 89. I think it might have been a semi-final. Mate, I just went in, hit his ass and just his hip, it was just so solid. And a lot, the answers to this question relates because in 1987, I started a game in every position except front row.
Yeah, wow.
Played in every position except front row. I did pack in the front row for a scrum, but so on a different day, I was playing a different position that I was uncomfortable with, and I'd look at the opposite number and go, so one of the first times I got put on the wing, I had to play Chicka Ferguson.
Oh.
And I went, there's no way in the hell I'm going to lay a glove on this bloke. Like, he's that quick.
He was quick, evasive.
And what he was, his legs never stopped moving. So the answer is Mal Meninga and Chicka Ferguson. They're the two answers.
They were both on the same team.
Oh, mate.
I think, were they both on the same side? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think they were.
Yeah, so that would have been
I
pretty
played
hectic.
centre against Mal and winger against Chicka.
Yeah, no, that would have been pretty hectic. Who was the player in the sheds before a game that you just looked over and you thought, okay, I'm confident we're going to get this one done today? Who was that player that gave you that confidence?
Oh, I think in my vintage it was like Gavin Miller. Like Gavin Miller was playing, he was on. A lot of it revolved around Gavin. He was a leader. His experience, like he'd played in Sydney, he'd played in England, he'd played, Challenge Cups. He was the man. We had some, great workhorses like David Hatch and Dane Sorensen, but Gavin was our man. And then the combination of Gavin Miller and Barry Russell, well, Baz won a Rothmans medal, and so did Gavin. And,
yeah, that's right.
And Dally M's. And, so Gavin was very instrumental. E.T. was always going to do on any given day. E.T. was going to do something special. And Big Sparkles at the time, Big Mark McGaw, he was capable. He was just powerful. But E.T. was special. Gavin, yeah.
What about, is there a player that you didn't get the opportunity to play with that you would have loved to have had the opportunity?
Wow. That's a question. Never thought of it.
Or what about a player in today's game? Who would you have loved to have played in today's game with?
Oh, I reckon you couldn't go wrong. You couldn't go wrong just doing whatever Nathan Cleary told you to do. If he said, go here, go there, run over there and run into that brick wall, get bashed, but you got to stand up. No worries, you just do it. Cause he's doing it for a reason. Yeah, back in the day, like, as I said, Tim Sheens rang me, and the thought of going to Canberra and playing with Bradley Clyde, Glenn Lazarus, Laurie Daly, Mal Meninga, Chicka Ferguson, Ricky Stewart, like, it goes on and on and on and on.
Well, you wouldn't have to tackle him then.
Yeah, that's right. Steve Waters was there at the time, so, yeah, I wish that would have come to fruition.
Who was the prankster at the clubs that you played with?
Ooh,
and what did they get up to?
In the early days, I probably rated pretty highly myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you used to get up to?
I used to carry a staple gun, and I knew where guys hid their car keys in their bag, and trips away. I was known to almost take on the role as part-time removalist. I was pretty lively myself in the day. And then later on, when I sort of was named in these reserve grade teams and had to be captain, it's like you have to be responsible now. So it all sort of came to an end. But, I got up to a bit of mischief myself. I mean, legally, it's all fun and games. But, I used to, I had in the back in the old days, I had the windscreen wiper, the jets that water your windscreen. I had one pointing sideways, and I had it positioned so it would go in the window of the car next to me and things like that. Little things. I had a staple gun, and if guys annoyed me, I would, they'd put their bag on the bench, on the wooden bench. Whilst they were out, I would go and take everything out and take the bottom of it out, and I would staple it to the back. So when they went to leave, they'd pull their bag and it just wouldn't move.
Classic.
There's 100 things,
We'll wrap things up with a set of 6. Well, you probably already mentioned this one, but favourite sport outside of rugby league?
Golf. Hands down.
You mentioned that one. If you weren't a rugby league player, what career path do you think you would have went down?
That's a great question. Now, remembering that I probably still had the choice to go down a career path because we were working, and I left school to be something. In hindsight, I probably should have joined the police force. Probably would have liked to have. My dad was a publican, worked long hours and stuff, but working in the pubs was pretty cool. Probably should have been a police officer, to be honest.
Yeah, nice. What would be the one unique thing people don't know about Alan Wilson?
What they don't know about me? I've told Andrew Voss this, because he brings up the 1 from 8 all the time. And I said, mate, I don't know if there's a statistic in rugby league, but I'm pretty sure I'm the only person ever to be stretchered off the bench.
Okay.
Now, so we're playing a trial game against Newcastle at Maitland Showground. I come off, and they said, just sit down, mate. So I just lying down on the field, and chin in my arms and watching the game. And they said, mate, we need you to go back on. And I said, I can't. And the bloke said, no, we're serious. I'm serious. You got to go back on. I said, I know you're serious. I can't, mate. I can't move.
Okay.
My back is gone. And they call for the doctor. So the doctor comes walking out from the grandstand. He walks out, starts checking me over. And I said, Doc, I can't move, mate. And he said, well, I need you to get you in the sheds. I said, well, I can't
move. How are you going to do that?
So they called for the stretcher, and the stretcher came out, and all the fans are going, oh, where's this going? And they walk it out to the bench, and they roll me over onto the stretcher and carried me off. And there was people in the crowd again, a standing ovation for getting stretchered off the bench. I don't think that's ever happened to anyone in rugby league.
No.
Mate, I'm a golfer. All my golf mates know I'm the Tyrrell Hatton. I'm go crazy when stuff doesn't go my way. Aside from that, mate, I'm just a normal bloke.
That's great. That's great. Which 3 former teammates do you think you wouldn't want to be on a deserted island with, and why?
Wow.
Or coaches. You can throw coaches into that
Yeah,
mold as
right.
well if you want.
I don't know who I wouldn't want to be on an island with. In terms of coaching, our coach Mick Vella would do your head in. Oh, literally would do your head in. Jacko, you mentioned Jacko, Vella, and we mentioned them before. They'd have to be up there. But in terms of, there's blokes I know I'd rather be, I could love it. You know, with Glenn Coleman,
yeah.
who I played wing with at Cronulla, could easy do an island stay with him. Jonathan Docking, he'd probably annoy me after a while, but we'd have a bit of fun. Yeah, probably those two. They were good blokes.
A bit of a two-part question. You're hosting a dinner party. What is the one meal, your specialty, that you're going to cook for them?
Do I have to cook it or can I order it in?
Well, a few people have said that they would order in, so if you're going to order in.
So my number one meal is a restaurant down at Cronulla called Sea Level, and they have a seafood platter, and it is my number one. If I'm going to celebrate anything, if I want to show someone, a visitor, a guest, a great feed, I take them there and I have the barbecued seafood platter, and I have been known to order it to my house a couple of times. So that would be it, no doubt.
Sounds really nice. And look, which three people that you haven't met, alive or dead, would you invite to eat the seafood platter with you?
I reckon Ricky Gervais would be outstanding company.
Yeah.
He
Tell
would
some jokes.
Oh, he would just, his humour is outstanding. I love it. Wow. I'd probably have to get some sort of golfer in there, wouldn't I? I'd love to have Rory McIlroy there.
Okay, yeah.
Just to chew his brain. He's one of the best I've seen. So I'll take Ricky, Rory, and let's go Bruce Springsteen.
Okay.
And I'll ask him if he could bring his acoustic guitar. If he says no, I'd still have one organised to be there just so he could do a couple of tunes.
Okay, well, that sort of leads into the next question and the last question. Favourite musician or band?
Well, I'm going to be at 3 Hoodoo Gurus shows in the next 3 weeks, so they're on the middle of a sold-out tour, so I'll be at those. Mate, I have the most eclectic mix of music. I love music from the South, the deep South of the US, like the blues, Cajun music, Zydeco music. I love my rock and roll, like my Rolling Stones and my Hoodoo Gurus. I love the next concert I go to see will be Fat Freddy's Drop, which is a Kiwi band that travels the world. There's sort of a bit of a jazz, funk, hip hop, like it's pretty cool. Yeah, mate, my taste, I love country music. My taste is so eclectic. Mate, my Spotify playlists are insane. So much so that, people just, when I put something on, they're going, what the hell is this? But I love it. So everyone's got their own taste.
Yeah, that's true. Well, what's your favourite Bruce Springsteen song then? Again, that might be a hard one to answer.
No, well, so I love song. Oh, going back to dinner, I'd love to have Don Walker there too from Cold Chisel.
Yes.
I love songwriters and I love the lyrics. So everything I listen to, the lyrics is part of the experience, right? So many people think a song means one thing when it actually means the other.
Is that sort of a little bit of coaching coming into it? So sort of analysing it a little bit?
Yeah, it's just probably me. I'm a bit of a weirdo. Bruce Springsteen's got a few. I recommend he's got a show on Netflix called Bruce Springsteen on Broadway. I recommend you do it. It's just him and a guitar and a piano. Brings his wife out, sings a couple of songs. That's it. But he explains why he wrote every song. Let's say Dancing in the Dark. And the reason why is because he wrote it overnight.
Yeah, well. Yeah.
So
okay.
he was prepared. He was writing the album, had about 80 songs, and his manager says, "Mate, we need a hit." He said, "Mate, I've written 80 songs here." Like, hey, whatever. He went back to his hotel room and he had the shits. And by morning he had Dancing in the Dark. So it's an incredible song. It's probably, again, what people think it's about. And if you do your research and stuff, it's a pretty cool song.
Yeah, no, it is. And I got my mum to thank for my interest in Bruce Springsteen. We go to the concerts together when he comes out to Australia. He's got to be due shortly to come back out.
They're talking about it. I mean, he's still touring until halfway through 2025. He's making up for a few that were postponed and stuff. Yeah,
he's got to come back out. But yeah,
he's still as good as ever.
That's it. Every time he comes out, Mum and I get there, and
I know this has got nothing to do with me and footy, but you know what he does? He before his show, he gets there early and puts on the camouflage and goes out incognito, and he walks around the stadium and he'll go right up the back. And if he sees like an elderly couple or someone who, and he just says, "Hey guys, how are you?" And they'll be sitting in the bleachers.
Yeah.
He says, "Come with me." And he grabs his manager or whatever, and because he's got reserved seats in the front row.
Yeah, okay.
Keeps them blank, and he goes out and picks them out of the audience like an hour or two before the show.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, that is.
I went to see
never knew
a guy
that.
named Michael Franti and Spearhead the other day at Enmore Theatre, and an hour and a half before the show, like the people are lined up out the front at 6 o'clock for a 9 o'clock start. Going, what are they lined up so early for? Right? Because they obviously want to be in the front row. Well, he came out with his band and started busking on the footpath at Enmore.
Yeah, wow.
They're cool musicians.
Yeah.
They're cool.
Yeah, no, that's a great story. I never knew that one. I'll have to tell Mum that one, and next time get there nice and early, I think.
Yeah.
But no, he puts on a good show, and they're two great stories there. Well, Alan Wilson, thank you very much. I've taken up a lot of your time today. I really appreciate it.
Mate,
The stories have been awesome.
I'm afraid I've put your audience to sleep.
No, I think there's some great stories there, and if it wasn't for time, we could probably speak for another couple of hours, I think. Yeah. But no, it's been awesome. So thank you very much for coming on the Parramatta podcast today.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
And welcome back to the podcast, and thanks for listening to part number 2, episode 474 with Mr. Alan Wilson. Geez, I really love that chat, and I really appreciate Alan's time. We were there for about 2 hours at St. Mary's Leagues Club that day, and I was just asking a couple of questions and just sitting back and listening to the stories. Absolute great storyteller. I really enjoyed it. I hope you did too. And let me know what your favourite part of the interview was in part number 1 or part number 2, or if you just like the whole thing. I'd really appreciate some feedback, and I'd like to know what you enjoyed about that interview. We probably could have talked for a bit longer, to be honest, but there were so many stories probably to be told. And speaking of stories to be told, I did see on social media that Alan caught up with his great mate Andrew Voss for a segment on The Fan on Fox League, so then no doubt that will be on throughout the NRL season, so keep your eyes peeled for that one, and you'll be able to see Alan on the screens there. Maybe some stories that he told me in this podcast might come out there, but maybe there might be some different ones. But keep an eye out for that one. Thank you very much for listening to this one. Plenty coming now in the podcast, that is for sure, with the captaincy announcement that's gone previously to Mitchell Moses of the Parramatta Eels, the names on jerseys podcast as well. So if any breaking news podcast comes out or any breaking news happens, I will bring that out in the way of a podcast as well. Don't forget, listeners, the tipping competition is still live and still able to join that one. I think there'll be about under 2 weeks to go at the time of this recording for the start of the NRL season. Now, thank you very much to Mr. Buddy Oldman, who's come on board as a sponsor of the Tipping Podcast, and that has raised the stakes even higher. First prize now $425, second prize $275, and third prize was $175, I think it was. A little bit of a bonus for fourth place, $25 as well. But they thank you very much for coming on board, along with Assure Strata Reports as well, who were the first sponsor of the tipping competition for 2025. So some big prizes on offer. So it is on ESPN Tips. So if you want to join, or you know somebody who wants to join, get them to message me on social media and I will send them the link and they can join up. I think there's about 50 people who have joined up so far, so thank you very much to all of you guys and girls who have listened and have joined the tipping competition. I keep on saying tipping podcast. That will come out too soon in the future, only a couple of weeks away till the NRL starts, so that will come out as well in a couple of weeks' time. But so about 50 people have joined so far, so let's have some fun. Let's see if we can get some perfect rounds happening, and I will certainly be trying to be my best. I haven't been the best tipper over the last couple of years. I did win a couple of tipping competitions here and there in 2022, but the last couple of years I have failed. So I'm hoping to jump back on the horse and get the victory in this tipping comp. So take me on and see if you can beat me and win some magnificent prizes. So thank you to Assure Strata Reports and also Buddy Oldman as well. Give Assure Strata Reports a follow on Instagram. Buddy Oldman, Masters Boxer on Facebook. Give him a follow as well, and follow myself on Instagram and Facebook as well. Look, thank you very much for listening. Stay tuned to the social media channels for what's coming up on the Parracave Podcast, the podcast that is by the fan for the fans. Go Para!
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Parracave Podcast. See you next time.